Let's get started. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a good day. I have a whole lot of game stuff, in case you couldn't tell. I've been this deep in sprues, which is normally a fun place to be, but I also want to actually play the darn game. Gotta build the minis first. So, one step at a time. Then I gotta read that novel of a rule book. So I've been a little busy, but that had me kind of thinking about something, and that is, what makes a game good? Now, obviously, this is just going to be my opinion, but it's my channel, so I'm going to say it. However, I would love to know what you think makes a game good. Really think about it. What about a game makes it good to you? Is it just components? Is it just minis? Is it a certain mechanic? Is it a certain game flow? Is it experiences? What is it? I would love to know, because I'm about to tell you what mine is. And it can be summarized fairly easily for me. And that's really, I like to make plans, and I like to be in control. Now, that obviously is at odds with a lot of games I like that have some random elements in them. I love dungeon crawlers. That's kind of random. And that's fine too. I like chucking dice. The act of chucking dice is fun. So that's one game mechanic, but it's also kind of counterintuitive to another thing I like, which is being in control. So I like rolling dice as long as there are dice mitigation ways of me doing it, or whether it's a conscious decision for me to roll those dice or not. So if I can roll better dice, or I can change dice, or I can do a different position to change the dice, or something like that. Really, I guess, for me, when it comes to making a plan and being in control, anything from Machikoro, which is quite random, to, Blood Rage, or anything like that, or Conan, I want to be able to make a plan. So I want to be able to say, oh, I'm going to move these guys over here, and I'm going to try and do this. And maybe it's Rising Sun. It doesn't matter. And I'm just trying to place my guys there. Or maybe I'm going to try and do the Loki strategy in Blood Rage. Or maybe I'm just going to try to do quests and win wars. Or perhaps in Machikoro, I'm just going to go for green cards and build up those so they're like heavy hitters, but then, only I'm getting it. Or maybe I'm just doing red cards, and I'm just wanting to get other people lower while I get higher. Perhaps I'm doing a mixed and I get blue, red, green, and purple. It doesn't matter. The point is I've consciously made a plan, and I can actually do that plan. Now, it doesn't have to be a perfect, and maybe I have to modify it, right? Maybe I want to place those guys there, but then somebody else does it. Or an event happens, and that's a bad place now, so then I have to change my plan. But I can still have a plan, and it's my choice to change it, and then I can follow through with that change. So that kind of control to me is super important, because it means if I win, I earned it. I get to rub it in your face. No, I'm not going to rub it in anybody's face. But I do get that kind of sense of satisfaction when it's like, I beat that game because I played better. Or I played well. And it could be that like, hey, the game was just out to get me. But then I can think, you know what? If I hadn't pushed my luck in that area, if I had just left instead of searching that area, I think I would have done better. I need to be able to point to specific moments that I made a decision, not that the game spawned enemies all around me and I had to leave instead of searching, but that I chose to then stay there. And as long as I have that, I'm happy. And other people, right? I want to, when we play Rise of Moloch, every single game I've played of Rise of Moloch, and this is one of the reasons why it won Game of the Year for me for 2018, is because it has come down to one turn. One turn difference between whether or not the heroes, the Unicorn Club, and their plan was successful, because they're obviously going to try to do something, or my plan worked, and I was successful. So not only do we both have a plan, it's just essentially whoever pulled it off better, whoever's plan worked soonest, right? Or whoever adapted quicker to change things. Either way, it's two people, or I guess two groups of people, me and then obviously all the heroes, making decisions about what they want to do, trying those out, and they win or lose because of it. Sure, there are dice rolls. Sure, that affects stuff. Okay, I'm not saying it can't have random elements, but it needs to be rewarding to me as a player. I want to play the game. I don't want the game to play me. And that line that's crossed there, I think it's actually pretty easy to tell. It's not really a you know it if you see it kind of scenario. It's more that, for instance, if there are dice mechanics, but no way to mitigate the dice or to change the dice, so the dice are just dice, in other words, they're just random no matter what you do, then that is not me in control. That's the game in control of me, right? That's a random element affecting me that I have no control over. If I'm playing Massive Darkness, I can choose to be in shadow, or I can choose not to. I can choose to use a weapon, or I can choose not to. Or an ability, or not to. Yes, there are dice at the core of it, but I am in control of that. Or maybe I can flip the dice, or maybe I can change the results, or re-roll the dice. But if something is just random, it's random. Okay, so like that was kind of my problem with Nemesis, is the fact that there's a card in there that just says, hey, guess what? You died, essentially. That's the game playing you. You're not in control of that. It doesn't make you a better or worse player if you died or not. And whether you win or lose is not up to you. It just happens to whether you drew the random card or not. Because there's no way to mitigate that. Now, you could go around planning against every single card, but that's not possible either. Or every single scenario. So it's more just like, did you randomly pick the one that worked with the random outcomes you have no control over? Part of that has to do with co-op, and it's one of the reasons I like one versus many so much. It's kind of like, have you ever played like Counter-Strike or any kind of, or StarCraft or anything where a video game where you are playing against a computer with bots? It's fun, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, the bots are bots. And they can either be overpowered and cheat, and they can, no scope headshot you from across the map on hard difficulty, and that's unfair. Nobody likes that. It's universally hated in reviews, and players don't like it, right? Or you can gamify them, and you can like cheat the system, and it's too easy and all that. Then you play with people instead of bots, and your enjoyment increases a lot. You're playing against somebody who can think and who can plan and try to outsmart you. You're shooting at them and they're camping over there. Maybe you go around the other way. Maybe you disengage. Maybe you let them do something else. Maybe you lead some other heroes over there. You get to make a choice, and it's you versus them, and who does it better. And that's just more enjoyable. It's more enjoyable than computer. It's more enjoyable than random cards. It's more enjoyable than random dice. And so that dice mitigation is key. It's actually why I didn't like Fallout. So Fallout the board game. Not Fallout Voice and Warfare. That's a fun game. Fallout the board game by Fantasy Flight Games has a terrible combat mechanic. You can, for the entire game if you wanted to, if you had bad enough luck, not be able to kill a single mole rat. Because there's nothing you can do about it. Except choose to leave and try to be better, perhaps. It doesn't have enough mitigation to that randomness to make it enjoyable. The questing, obviously. If you put a quest in there, you might have to do 20 quests to see that again, or it might be the next one you come up with. You don't really have control over that. There's no way to purposely seek out a mission. You can't always do that. Sometimes it's just random. So again, not fun. When the game plays me, I don't enjoy it. When I play the game, I enjoy it. So that's really what it comes down to it. Even something, again, as random as Machikoro, whether you're just rolling dice and there's no real way to manipulate it, what you roll is what you roll, that's fine. What I always do, by the way, is I always have blue cards. At least some, because blue cards work if anybody rolls it. I don't really like the red cards as much, but the blue cards I do like. So that if somebody else rolls it, that's a way to mitigate it, so it's not just my luck. It's generally everybody's luck, which kind of averages out. So I'm even okay with that. Not my favorite game, but it works. Star Wars Rebellion. Here's one that really doesn't have anything random per se. The combat's kind of ho-hum, but at the end of the day, if I'm the Rebellion and I choose, ironically, to hide my base on Hoth, that's my decision. And then as an Imperial player, it's my decision whether I go to Hoth and check it out or not. So it's just, the entire game of Star Wars Rebellion is just people's plans and changing them, right? Oh no, they found the base. Do I try to change it, or do I try to, just, keep hold of it, or what do I do? So that's really what I like. And maybe you can take that information and get a hint of whether or not I'll like a game. Ideally, when I start doing these reviews, I'm going to be reviewing Forbidden Fortress whenever I get around to building it, reading the rule book, playing it. I'm sure I'm going to paint it. In fact, the dragon's almost done being built. So that's exciting. Anyway, you'll know if you've played this game kind of whether or not I'll like it or not. Now there's other things, for instance, I don't like long downtime. It's why I didn't back Tainted Grail. I didn't back Tainted Grail for one main reason. There are a few other things. I'm worried about the quality of the components. I'll wait for retail to see if they're better than what Nemesis or The Edge or anything else I've really seen from that company is. Just as a consumer, because it's kind of expensive. However, I could take a chance. I could do it for the channel, right? That's fine. But the combat there is what I'm worried about, because it's completely devoid of the rest of the game, right? Essentially, you're playing a board game, and then if you're in combat, it's like, oh, I'm going to over here play this mini game where I'm building sequences. It has nothing to do with the rest of the game. Nobody else is participating. And if I'm the last person on that turn, everybody has to wait for me to do that combat. There's nothing they can do but wait for me to play this little side mini game that's completely unrelated to the rest of the game and the game mechanics and the game flow. Downtime is a huge thing for me. Part of it's because a lot of times I play with my family and I have children and they don't have great attention spans. Some of it's because I just get annoyed because I feel like there should be something for everybody to do. A lot of these board games take over an hour of my time. If I watch a movie, I'm watching a movie the entire time. I am entertained start to end, unless it's a bad movie. Okay? If I'm playing a video game, I'm entertained from beginning to end. Book, beginning to end. It doesn't matter what your hobby is, right? Hiking, I don't care. Taking photographs outdoors, that's awesome. My wife loves to do that, and she's outside doing it. Board games can last 3 hours, maybe even more. It's a whole night. And if half of your night is spent waiting on Joe Schmo to build sequences in a combat, that's not as fun. Yes, you can talk to people. You can talk to people without the board game. Right? Or you could watch a movie. Heck, you could probably watch a movie in between the downtime. So downtime to me is huge. And part of that's the game flow, right? The game just has to hit on all marks. It's one of the reasons I like Blood Rage so much. Just because it has a lot of different things. It has like drafting, it has placement, it has miniature combat where like your miniatures count as points, so consider them part of the combat, plus card combat, plus like questing, and so you have like objectives as well. And so there's a lot of game mechanics that are completely separate, kind of like that sequence thing, right? In Tainted Grail. Completely separate, but they all mesh together and work seamlessly, where one leads to the other naturally. The drafting doesn't feel extra or weird. Playing a card when you have miniatures doesn't feel extra or weird. It's not this other little side thing you're doing. It's part of the cohesive experience. Part of that is just because it's streamlined well. So it has to flow well with low downtime as well. And that can be kind of hard. And I sympathize with all the devs trying to deal with that because it's difficult. Because you want something to be entertaining and complex enough to where you're making decisions, but you don't want it to be so long for everybody else. Or to be inclusive or something like that. So anyway, that's kind of my thing. I like certain mechanics. I love drafting, right? I like minis. If you got great minis, I'm going to like your game a little bit more, right? Because I actually have no qualms. If you buy a game, by the way, just for the minis, that's fine. I don't care. Now, if you like the minis in the game, that's great. I much prefer that. But if one of your hobbies is miniature painting, I don't care if you just back it for there. I have a coworker that does D&D, and all he does is buys these Kickstarters and throws the game portion away. He doesn't want it. It just takes up space. He just keeps the minis for his D&D stuff. That's fine. That's a cheap way to get a whole bunch of D&D minis. Massive Darkness was a huge game for him. I have no qualms about that. I don't care what people back. I don't care what you like. I mean, I care about you. I care about you. But what I mean is I'm not judgmental. It doesn't matter to me. But I know what I like. And I hope this video has tried or been successful in letting you know what it is I like and what it is I don't like. At least in general. I might surprise you every now and then. Something might come in a left field and like, I really liked that and I didn't think I would. But ideally, if I'm going to be reviewing board games, I think it's my duty, even review, first impression, whatever you want to call it. I believe it helps if you guys know where I'm coming from, what I like to see, what I don't like to see. The only thing I might also add is I am coming from a consumer experience in that I spend a lot of money on board games. When I receive hate, I spent over $300 on hate. So I want $300 worth of stuff. A lot of times, sorry for the small tangent here, a lot of times people think if you receive a free product that somehow you're more likely to be kind to it. But I've never understood that. If I have no skin in the game, if I didn't spend my own money on it, what do I care if I like it or not? I didn't like Nemesis, and I just sold it. And I spent money on it. If it had been given to me, guess what? I could sell it and make money on it. Now I finally enjoyed it. Right? I don't understand this. I guess people are afraid that you'll burn bridges. I didn't like Nemesis. People love Nemesis. I made a lot of people upset at me because I didn't like something that they liked. But that also opened other doors for me. It's not like every miniature game company is not like, oh my gosh, you didn't like Nemesis, we're not going to talk to, the King of Average anymore. It's not how it works, and that's just silly. If I get a free product or I didn't spend a lot of money on it, then I don't have a lot of expectations. If a game costs $30, it's $30, and I hope I get $30 worth of stuff from it. So when a game costs a lot or comparable to other stuff, and then as a consumer I used to spend money on that, and I feel like I didn't get as much from that, I'm kind of bummed. And then there are sometimes, like I mentioned in the Forbidden Fortress, right? It was $100. It's a lot of content for $100. I would have much preferred for them to not give me so many miniatures and upgrade the cardboard. Or I would have preferred for them to have these awesome miniatures and all these miniatures, and then I could opt for a higher cardboard quality and actually like pay additional money for it. So then it's $120, but you get $20 worth of better tokens or whatever. So I try to come from a consumer standpoint because I'm one of you guys, and I owe nothing to these companies. Companies are there to make money. Ideally, they make money by providing quality stuff. Not all the time they do that. Sometimes they rely on FOMO stuff. Sometimes they rely on other stuff. And I didn't speak out a lot about this kind of stuff until it has happened to be Awakened Realms, and I apologize for that, but it's not going to be the first or the last. Death May Die by Cool or Not. That whole, recurring Megature kind of tier thing was garbage. I did not like that, and I would have spoken out against that if I had done that at the time. So I don't want you guys to think that somehow I'm biased upon anything except my own darn opinion. Okay? Because at the end of the day, I want you guys to know where I'm coming from. And if I'm not honest with you, if I'm not honest with myself, I'm just gonna like some corporate shill like all the other YouTubers on here that just hype, and are essentially another ad revenue, or ad, agency for these companies. Nothing against that. That's helpful. It's good because a lot of times advertisements tell you a lot about the games. They're great at bullet points, right? In fact, I actually model somewhat my Kickstarter detail stuff based on that. Like, hey, here's kind of the elevator pitch of this game, right? And it's not like I'm like, hey, so it has this bad mechanic, has this bad mechanic. I list some good mechanics too. And then, of course, I get my opinion in at the end, right? That's important. So anyway, guys, that's what I like to see. I like to see quality components for us, a reasonable price, and a well-made game. That's so much to ask for. Anyway, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you not care about the, components? I might do another video about components and why they actually matter, because so many people say that they don't, at a later video. But all I'll say is board games are inherently a physical experience, so it should be pleasant. Let me know in the comments below what you like to see in a board game. What makes a board game good for you? Is there some key mechanic? If it's like, hey, if it's an area placement game or a worker placement game, I'm all about it. Or it has drafting, I'm there. Or maybe it's just great miniatures equal great game. Don't care, I'm not going to judge. Let's hash that in the comments. Let's discuss. I know where I'm coming from. I'd love to know where you're coming from so I can better understand you guys as an audience. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.